Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we turn to talking about liberal indoctrination that's happening at college universities across this country. We all know that the leftists have run education systems in the United States for many, many years now. They use these places as their breeding ground to create new little indoctrinated liberals. That way they can get them young and get them while they're still impressionable. This has happened for ages, especially in colleges and universities. At that age, students kind of get a little older. They're 18, 20, 22, and they're also in an age where they can vote and make a difference and actually be usable for the Democratic Party. Now, this has come to head and come to light in light of a new story coming from Harvard University. Harvard's supposed to be the most famous and most prestigious college in our whole country, but it still has its faults, including pumping out some of the worst leftists and some very violent ones, in fact. That's what's coming to light in today's story. Today, we're talking about a certain student from Harvard who recently got fired from her job because she made some very, very inappropriate threats on her TikTok videos. That's right. We have a social media wannabe star making posts on TikTok talking about hurting people that disagree with her. Of course, these people are going to be not liberals. Anyone who doesn't go along with this liberal ideology, she actually threatens to injure and says she'll laugh while they die. It's a really messed up video we're going to get to soon. We're going to talk about this whole story about how this Harvard grad posted this video and then she got shared by a bunch of people online. This resulted in her getting backlash at her job and they eventually let her go. That's pretty understandable if you see what she said and how she acted afterwards. So we're going to get to all that soon. We're going to talk about the story from all kinds of different angles. But first, let's take a quick moment to check out our sponsor. You likely already know what collagen is. Collagen makes your skin healthy and gives you a youthful look. It strengthens nails, hair, teeth, and gut health too. And it maintains your muscle as well. It improves your joints and just so much more. It's just a really, really healthy, beneficial thing you can ingest. Most people make the mistake of thinking only one type of collagen is enough too, but there's actually 28 different types, and only 5 are the most important for healthy, youthful looking skin, hair, and joints and metabolism and more. And that's why consumers are choosing ageless multi-collagen, which you can find at our website, healthwithnobs.com. That's right. Brought to you by BioTrust, you can get your own healthy collagen mix today for a very special price too. This multi-collagen mix comes in this bag right here. You put 1 scoop in your favorite drink. You can mix it with water, juice, coffee, whatever you may like. It's tasteless and you mix it in and you drink it and it'll make you healthier and it'll make your skin, your teeth, your nails and everything much stronger too. And rest assured, you know this company will give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, even on empty bags, so there's really no risk. I say, why not give it a try today? So get yourself some healthy collagen and help your health right away by visiting healthwithnobs.com. Thanks for your time, and now back to the show. Great, now that that's out of the way, let's get back to this Harvard grad story. The first tweet I saw about it comes from this guy named Paul. It says, Harvard senior Clara Genova threatens to stab anyone who says all lives matter. Will liberal colleges and universities teach students that speech does not equal violence? So already a bad start. We're going to get to the video soon and watch that as well. But this is the girl. Her name's Clara, and she's a recent Harvard grad. She was a senior in May. She just graduated, and now she's trying to seemingly get famous online or something. Maybe she's just posting this for fun, but there's a lot to point out here that's really, really wrong with this video. And you'll see that her follow-up video is even more cringy. So let's go ahead and check this out and see what she has to say.
The next person who has the sheer nerve, the sheer entitled caucasity to say all lives matter, I'm gonna stab you. I'm gonna stab you. And while you're struggling and bleeding out, I'm gonna show you my paper cut and say, my cut matters too.
Okay, a really dark, really off-base joke. Basically, going along with the BLM stuff right now, this is obviously influenced by politics, things that are going on in current events. We all know there was a couple of riots and protests and things gone wrong, a lot of race baiting going on in the country right now. And basically, she's coming on the tail end of that, saying, you can't say all lives matter. This is something that a lot of these leftists have complained about. They don't care about all lives. They want to focus on black ones, which admittedly, I mean, black people are cool. They're important. They need help sometimes, just like all the rest of us. I mean, I think every race has an argument for that. Every race has a right to matter and have an existence. And that's why I think a lot of people say all lives matter. But these guys want to make it out so it's important and more important and like offensive. They want to act like all lives matter is a racist thing to say, but a lot of people could also argue that Black Lives Matter is a racist thing to say. I mean, it's excluding a lot of different people in this country and just trying to pull focus to them. And she's trying to actually make an analogy here, which doesn't work. It doesn't pan out. But the point of the story is she's threatening to hurt people, to injure them, and then she's going to laugh and kind of gloat as they die out. And I mean, this is the kind of thing. It really doesn't matter what her motivation is, her politics, what the premise is. Like anyone that threatens violence like this is going to lose their job or have punishment for it. That's just the day and age we live in. This isn't what I asked for. I wish we could have a little more fun, a little more joking around. I wish people could have a social media app and goof around and then also have a regular job. I think that should be a right. But that's not the world we live in. This is a cancel culture world that we're living in now where everything's hypersensitive and everyone's getting called out for everything. But the problem with this is, and I mentioned cancel culture, but this isn't really a case of cancel culture. Like cancel culture is more offensive, it's more illegitimate. Like, for example, bad cancel culture is like digging up someone's really old tweets from 10 years ago and, oh, they made a joke about a gay person, you're fired. That's like what happened to Kevin Hart and a lot of other people over time. Jokes on Twitter, things like that pop up. But this is something this chick just said recently, like a few days ago. She posted this, and she also stands by this. Like, as you'll see, she doesn't really apologize. She actually, eventually in the second video, she just complains and blames this on like Trump and conservatives, which is just totally ridiculous. I mean, for starters, it's her side who's created this very contentious, like very sensitive space, all these safe spaces in this PC culture. They're the ones that are pushing these cancellations. But on top of that, I mean, she's straight up saying she's going to hurt people. This is not the best type of joke, like the best kind of humor. And on top of that, the last thing I'll say, and then we'll move on to the next video, but her analogy is whack. Her analogy doesn't make sense. She's trying to act like, oh, this is like the same analogy where they say your house is on fire, like black people have their house on fire, but you're over here and you don't have any problems in your house and you're saying, hey, what about my house? Like that's the kind of analogy she's making. A lot of these silly leftists have made the similar analogy. She's just using it with like a beating up, like cutting example. Like, for example, in her example, she cut someone really hard and they're dying and bleeding, and then she says she has a paper cut. And you know, in this analogy, when you think about it, like you got to think about it first. Okay, she's basically saying that black people are gutted and cutted and they're like injured and dying. She compares them to that, and that's really offensive on its own if you think about it. Like she's basically saying black people are on fire. They're just kind of have this terrible issue, like they're about to die, and she's trying to save them. She has this like hero complex, and then she's also saying, you know, white people or other people have like a paper cut of a problem. You know, that's the analogy. And if you really put it out there and break it down, like it's pretty offensive to black people, like saying that they're like that injured or that whichever, like disabled, disadvantaged. Like, I wouldn't agree with that. I actually think America is a very fair place for the most part. There are some discrepancies here and there, but it's not really mostly to do with race. I would say gender discrepancies are bigger. Like, girls get away with a lot more stuff than guys. Guys are more prone to being hurt or jailed and stuff like that. They have worse chances in the court system, but that's a whole other story. The point is, we're as fair as we can be, I think, and we're doing really well. Racism isn't this bad. And to call this out and to say black people are like injured or they're on fire, which is another one of their examples, like that's actually kind of offensive on its own. So next, we've got the follow-up video. This is another one from her TikTok, another video with 2 million views right now. Here she's crying her eyes out.
I know this is what Trump supporters wanted, because standing up for Black Lives Matter put me in a place online to be seen by millions of people. The job that I had worked really hard to get and meant a lot to me just called me and fired me because
I'm sorry, I don't want to laugh too hard, but this is just exactly like, this is like that example. Like, this is what you get, lady. Like, this is what you get. You threaten millions of people with harm, with physical violence. Like, yeah, companies aren't going to want to associate with you. That's bad for the brand. I don't know what company she works for. I saw something like Deloitte or something like that. I'm not really sure what they do, but they are a company, and any company can easily fire someone for this kind of reputation. I mean, this is like a threat. This is like a bad, worst kind of joke ever. And then I just love the fact I had to stop it right away. We'll finish it in a second, but I had to stop it because she just starts off on two wrong premises. She says this is what Trump supporters wanted. And then she also says she was just standing up for BLM, just standing up for black people. And both of those things are false. I mean, Trump supporters didn't want this. Like, I don't want this. I'm fine with her having a job, fine with her having jokes and all this stuff. Yeah, I might laugh. I think this is a funny conclusion to her situation. I think it's very expected. Like, I would know better than to say something like this. And then on top of that, let's just point out the fact that she's a Harvard grad. Like, isn't she smarter than that? Like, aren't they supposed to be smart? I feel like a Harvard grad should know better. You know, she spent 4 years at the top university, and all she got out of it was this kind of violent rhetoric, this kind of negative, biased, liberal perspective. Black lives matter. White lives are terrible. She hates Trump. Like, she didn't have any common sense. Like, why didn't they teach her not to post this stuff on social media? It's totally ridiculous. And on top of that, back to the bad premises. I mean, she's blaming Trump. She's trying to blame conservatives when she should be blaming herself. And this whole sticking up for black people thing, I mean, come on. That's just her trying to look like a hero, trying to act like she's the best. Oh, I saved the world. Oh, I'm saving black people. Give me a break. I mean, you're not helping. You're treating black people like children. You're saying they're stabbed to death and bleeding on the ground while you have a paper cut. I mean, that's just treating them like they're beneath you. You think you're better than them. And you all obviously think you're better than a lot of people, but you're not. I mean, if you were smart and you really knew what you were doing, you wouldn't be posting this crap on TikTok.
Because of everything. I don't know if everyone's seen, but it's been circulating a lot. My Black Lives Matter TikToks were picked up by conservatives and spread and shared.
So again, blaming conservatives and just can't take a notice and take responsibility. There's no apology here. There's no kind of correction. She doesn't even explain. She doesn't even say it was a joke. Like, that's another thing that we don't know. Like, it seemed kind of like a hyperbolic statement, but we don't even know if she was joking. Like, some people are suspecting, like I am. I'm like, wasn't she serious? Like, because she's not explaining it all. All she's doing is blaming conservative. She blamed Trump supporters. Now she's blaming conservatives for spreading her video when, I don't know. I've seen the video around a lot of different places. I think it's just an absurd thing. I think I've seen other people on Twitter share it, left-leaning people, middle ground people, non-political people. I mean, this is just funny. Like, what you said was dumb. It got shared. Yeah, some of them might have been conservative. Some of them were definitely other people. But this is, again, this is what you get. This is what you get. That's a line from the movie Tag, which I thought was really hilarious. And if you remember that joke, you'll know what I'm talking about. But basically, yeah, this is what you get. And this isn't like what I wanted for you. And I don't want anyone to be fired. I wouldn't encourage this. I wouldn't ask for this. But it's not surprising. And it's just really hilarious coming from a smarty pants wannabe Harvard grad.
And people were demanding that I be fired, which I just got. My job that I worked really hard for. I know this is what.
My job that I worked really hard for. Well, I mean, all you had to do to keep that job was not have a TikTok. It's pretty simple. I mean, you're blaming Trump, you're blaming conservatives, you're blaming everyone else, but you're not taking any responsibility. You're not admitting that you were wrong, you went too far. You're not even explaining that it was a joke. Like, you could have at least tried to clear things up or something. But no, she goes for the emotional appeal. Obviously, she's crying on camera. Obviously, she was crying before she filmed this. If this is even a real cry, I mean, this seems like a performance to me. Like, you want to feel sorry for her. I know she seems like a pretty girl too, so she's probably used to getting lots of sympathy, lots of special attention. She's a Harvard student too. Seeming to me like she was like a diversity hire, honestly. Like, I feel like she got affirmative action her way in there because she's obviously not the smartest tool in the shed, or the brightest crayon in the box is a better one. And in this case, it's just, yeah, you get what you get. Very funny, very fine conclusion. And yeah, we've got yet another example of someone crying on TikTok. This is something we've covered like 3 times now. At first, it was like the nurses. I think it was like nurses during the pandemic, and they were freaking out about all the cases they supposedly had, and they cried on camera. And we've had a few other instances of like lots of these attention-seeking, left-leaning females on TikTok crying for attention, trying to get themselves views and hits. And it backfired on this chick. I mean, now she's resulting to crying. And then the next step is it actually gets even worse in the end here, guys, because she does turn to raising money. Now she's asking for money. She's got her tip jar out there, if you will. And it looks like she has a modest goal of $4,000. I'm not sure how much she's at or getting. I don't know if it's linked in here or not, but she's definitely moved to the next step. Okay, here's a GoFundMe account. Okay, so she's already raised $5,000. Great. So that's the good message here. Let's reward terrible behavior, terrible people. Look at someone said blame Whitey. This is a donation from her. So this is a straight up like anti-white grift. You know, this is straight up anti-white people. They hate white people. They blame us for everything. They mask this hatred with like supporting black people, like it's like BLM. But the truth of the matter is they're saying that you can't say all lives matter. That's what she was saying. And it's because she has this anti-white hatred. It's coming out of these major universities, the top most prestigious university. This is what we've got now. They're very racist, very biased. They're bold and they're emboldened and they think they're in the right. They won't even apologize. And now they're raising money for it and using this as a grift. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Also hit that like button to get this thing shared. And until next time, have a great day.